You're listening to the Dore Report, presented by the Crow's Nest of Green Hills, with Billy Derrick and Cameron Bond, the premier podcast for all Vanderbilt fans across the country.
Welcome into another edition of the Dore Report, presented by not the Crow's Nest of Green Hills, actually presented by the great folks at Allocco Hardwood Flooring. They do a tremendous job with their hardwood flooring company. If you're ever looking for someone trustworthy and reliable to apply new hardwood flooring, look no further than the folks at Allocco Hardwood Flooring. They will get the job done for you. Jimmy Allocco and his staff are the best in town, and they will get your job done in a heartbeat. No matter what style you're going for, you can trust your flooring job to Allocco Hardwood Flooring. Take a walk through the woods in your home every day. Get your job started today. For more information, log on to alloccohardwoodflooring.com or call 615-356-0303. That's 615-356-0303. Once again, welcome into another edition, the third episode of the Dore Report, presented by Allocco Hardwood Flooring. So glad all of you were able to join me here on a beautiful Thursday evening here down in Naples, Florida, on the campus of Ave Maria University. Obviously, I will not be in Nashville until early December. So maybe around bowl season, as you turn the clock from football, as you turn the page from football to basketball, I will be returning back to the Music City, and we'll be able to really talk some Vanderbilt in depth. But right now, we're going to take some time to recap last week's win over MTSU. Big time win for the Commodores as they defeat the Blue Raiders by a final score of 35-6. And it was an excellent win for the Commodores. They were able to fend off an early. It was a close game in the first half. We all know that, 14-7 at the half. And as I predicted, the Commodores were able to hold on to the victory. And, they were just able to maul MTSU up front, not only in the defensive front seven, but on the offensive line. Keyshawn Vaughn ran the ball well. Kari Blasingame ran well. Jamari Wakefield ran tremendously well. We did not see any action from Javion Marlowe, as I mentioned. He will most likely see time in Week 3 against Notre Dame after this week's game against Nevada. So, again, great win for the Commodores. They're able to get on the right track, win Week 1 after a tremendous win over MTSU. Next week, speaking of this week, they will travel back to Nashville. They will stay in Nashville and play Nevada at Vanderbilt Stadium in West End. Cannot wait to watch that one. Nevada has a great team, a very explosive offense. They put up 77 points last week. But before we talk about Nevada, let's recap MTSU again. Before we talk any further about MTSU, here's what head coach Derek Mason had to say after the game.
First and foremost, let me give credit to Coach Saxon. I think he always puts together a team that is talented. They've got good linebackers, they've got good wideouts. I thought we started off really slow in this ball game. Defense, I thought our offense came out and they marched the ball down the field, and that's exactly what you want to see. So that was a great start offensively. I thought defensively, we struggled to get them off the field consistently on third down, and that's just part of it. The ejection to Darius Wiley sort of, made our coaching staff think about, okay, like how do we protect the back end a little bit and play a little smart. And that's just a chess game that goes on in college football. But I think the defense rallied. I thought they played hard. A lot of snaps in the first half. And that's a credit to MTSU's offense controlling the clock. I think they had a ball for 17 minutes in the first half. So that's a pretty good job by them.
There you hear it, head coach Derek Mason after the win over MTSU last week. And once again, final score, Vanderbilt 35, MTSU 7 in Nashville. It was a decent crowd, not as prolific as I might have thought, but Vanderbilt, again, they opened the season beating their area rival MTSU 35-7. Kyle Shermer was probably the MVP, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dio Odengbo returned a fumble 3 yards for a touchdown, and the Dores had 6 sacks and forced 2 turnovers in winning their second straight opener at MTSU's expense. They also wrapped a 4-game contract with their 4th straight victory against the Conference USA school less than 40 miles away, which is MTSU. Kari Blasingame scored the first touchdown of the season on a 21-yard touchdown run. Chris Pierce had a touchdown. Donovan Tennyson had a nice grab. about a 50-yard completion. Kalijah Lipscomb had an excellent game. He had a tremendous catch. So again, I think the main takeaway here for the Commodores is what the defense was able to do against a very prolific MTSU offense. 7 points, 1 touchdown. That's all Vanderbilt limited them to. I think this defense could be impressive. They still have to learn a lot of things. I think Jason Tarver is paying off, and he pretty quickly actually. As I mentioned, Dio Dangbo picked up a fumble off a Stockstill lateral, and he scored the Commodores' first defensive touchdown off a fumble recovery since 2016 against Kentucky. And if I'm defensive coordinator Jason Tarver, I'm continuing to preach. You got to have that ball. You have to have the ball if you want to win games. Get the ball back into that prolific offense's hands, led by Kyle Shermer and the stable of running backs, tight end Jared Pinkney, a lot of good receivers as well. And Vanderbilt gets the win, 35-7 over MTSU, the in-state rival there. And Commodores will move on to face Nevada this week. The Nevada Wolfpack, they put up 77 points last week against Portland State. Obviously not a very formidable opponent, but nevertheless, 77 points is impressive on anyone. And what I want to kind of look at now is what Kyle Shermer thinks of Nevada, and what he kind of expects of this Wolfpack team. Vanderbilt, obviously, coming into this game 1-0. Nevada, same thing. So on the Nevada defense, Kyle Shermer said, in quote, "I think they do a good job on defense. They're very fast, and they try to put a lot of speed out there. They do a good job of mixing coverages up. It's going to be a good challenge for us." That's what Shermer said on the defense. And he also talked about some of the film he watched after reviewing the MTSU game. He said, in quote, "It was sort of what I expected. There was a lot of good, but also some things that we needed to clean up. I think we worked hard in practice to clean up some of those things. I think we had a good week of practice, and there's a lot of encouraging stuff from that game that we can that we can move forward with." So again, those are very encouraging quotes from Vanderbilt's leader and captain, Kyle Shermer. And the X factor in this game against Nevada, I think, is just maintain the line of scrimmage as we did last week with MTSU. Didn't start off as well as the Commodores should have. Coach Mason admitted that in the press conference. We just heard him talk. He was talking about how the team started off sluggishly, but they ended up finding their rhythm offensively and defensively. So if they can do the same thing here, they should win handily over Nevada. Nevada's defense, they gave up nearly 30 points to Portland State. Vanderbilt gave up 7 to a very good Conference USA team. So I think if the Commodores can do, they don't have to do a whole lot on offense in this game. If they can do just enough on offense, with Shermer, probably have to throw over 200 yards, because this could be a shootout, but that's worst case scenario here. Worst case scenario is Vanderbilt gets into a shootout, and that would mean the defense would have to play poorly. I think the defense is going to show up. I think they're going to shut down Ty Ganji and McLean Minix. McLean Minix, who is actually a former Vanderbilt recruit. Vanderbilt was looking at him, and he ended up committing to Nevada. So watch out. They have a good offense. I'm not saying they don't have a good offense. They have a very formidable offensive attack led by, like 6th-year senior Ty Ganji. So should be a fun game to watch. It's an 11 o'clock Central Time kick in Nashville. You can watch it on the SEC Network. I will actually be able to watch this game. I wasn't able to see any of the MTSU game last week due to complications here in the Naples, Florida area, but this game's on the SEC Network. I can't wait to watch it. It'll be following SEC Nation on that same channel, so they'll be previewing that one in depth. So can't wait to watch that one in Nashville. And talking a little bit more about Nevada, this Nevada team, as we mentioned, last year they struggled. They only won 3 games, but they're led by a second-year head coach by the name of Jay Norvell. And he has no relation to Mike Norvell over there at Memphis, but he comes from a good pedigree. His father obviously played in the NFL, so he knows what it takes to succeed at any level of football. And I'm really interested to see this coaching matchup. Derek Mason's in his 5th year here at Vandy, but he's still a young coach, a battle of young, energetic coaches, and you always love to see that. Whenever you have characters like these on the sidelines coaching against each other, it's certainly fun. So I do want to look ahead maybe a little bit towards the schedule next week against Notre Dame. I know it's not quite Notre Dame week yet, but I can already feel it. I can already feel the anticipation of Vanderbilt and Notre Dame next week. Week 3 will kick off 2:30 Eastern time. You can watch it on NBC in South Bend. Notre Dame's going to be fired up for it. So is Vandy. Another Power 5 conference team coming into Notre Dame Stadium to play the Irish. Notre Dame better be ready. If they're sleeping on Vanderbilt, it could be a dangerous game. I think Notre Dame wins, but again, can't wait to watch it. And at this point in the season right now for Vanderbilt, they're just trying to find consistency. They're still trying to build that foundation. They still have the rest of their entire rest of their schedule left to see what kind of team they can be. They still have 11 games to play, a full season ahead of them. It's a good start with a 1-0 record against MTSU, but now they got to continue to take care of business against a really good team in Nevada. Nevada's one of the more prolific offenses, not only in their conference, but in the nation. Ty Ganji, great quarterback, a lot of talent. They put up nearly 80 points last week. That does not go unnoticed. I think a key, though, in this one, actually, there are keys to this game, is the defense. I think you have to get pressure on Ty Ganji, who is a dual-threat quarterback. Charles Wright, Dore, the Odangbo brothers, Luis Vecchio, they got to provide pressure. Jordan Griffin needs to provide pressure as well. Ladarius Wiley will hopefully not get ejected again and will be able to play the entire course of the game. So Wiley and Williams, Zaire Jones will not be back. He'll probably be back here in a couple weeks. So Frank Kopp is going to have to step up again. Ali Muhammad is going to have to get some time. So this is just really good experience for the secondary to prepare for next week against Notre Dame, a team with a lot of explosive weapons on offense with Brandon Wimbush, Dexter Williams, Jafar Armstrong. So, again, a lot of weapons for a team like Notre Dame. This is a good preparation game for the Commodores. And these first two games really are tremendous measuring sticks for the Commodores because obviously lower conference teams, you got Nevada from the Mountain West, MTSU from Conference USA. So they're excellent measuring stick games. Vanderbilt has obviously third straight year they've opened up with MTSU. So again, it's always a really cool thing to it's always cool to open up with against a very formidable opponent, maybe at a neutral site game, or several years ago when the Commodores would open on Thursday nights against teams like Ole Miss and South Carolina and even in Mason's second year, South Carolina. So again, you love opening seasons like that, but it's always good to sort of start out with a couple of scrimmages with cupcake teams. No disrespect to MTSU and Nevada, but in terms of an SEC type of schedule, they are considered cupcakes. I mean, those are must wins, and they're not even must wins. They are lock it down, mark it down wins. The must win games are more like Missouri and Kentucky and Tennessee for Vandy. So if they want to get to a bowl game, which pretty positive they do, that is the goal this year for the Commodores, get to a bowl game. So again, Vanderbilt hosting the Nevada Wolfpack. Not quite sure about the crowd size of this game. Probably very similar to MTSU game. Probably not as many people even at this game. So the crowd could be very sparse for this Vanderbilt Nevada game. And again, this is kind of what happens when you start the season against a Conference USA team and then a Mountain West team. You're not going to get very good crowds. Even at a big-time school like a Tennessee or a Georgia or an Alabama or a Florida, you're just not going to get the best of crowds. Definitely for the season opener, but a Week 2 game against a non-Power 5 school, you're not going to get the best of crowds. It's pretty easy to conclude that. So, again, I think it should be a decent crowd. Nevada, you never know how many fans they bring. I have not been updated on their ticket allotment here, but it should be interesting to see how many folks they bring essentially across the country over here to Nashville. So again, I can't wait. I'm sure all the Vanderbilt fans cannot wait to see the Commodores again in Week 2 against a formidable opponent. So again, this is a type of game where another measuring stick game. You never know how good a team like Nevada could be. Nevada could surprise a lot of people this year. You have to look at that 77-point total, though. You can't ignore that. It's impossible to ignore that. And as I mentioned, Ty Ganji, explosive player. McLean Mannix, he's a very explosive slot receiver. He's also one of the punt returners and kick returners. So, again, in terms of Vanderbilt, though, we've talked a lot about Nevada, actually. In terms of Vanderbilt and their team, I've been really impressed with the play calling from Andy Ludwig lately. I know it's only been one game against MTSU, but first half was a little bit iffy because we were literally running the ball every play. Second half, he opened things up because he kind of felt like he had to if they were going to win the game. So I think Ludwig, this will be another chance for him to really open the offense up, get some experience in there for guys like Donovan Tennyson and number 83 CJ Bowler, as well as Cam Johnson. I'd love to see the ball in Cam Johnson's hands a lot more often, and this will be a good game because this will be a good game to do that. Because in the second half of this game, you're gonna want to see a guy like Cam Johnson get some experience in there, especially if the Commodores are up by 3 or 4 touchdowns late in the fourth quarter. Perfect time to receive experience from guys like Bowler and Johnson, and maybe even Gavin Schoenwald in there. So maybe even Alan Walters with Deuce Wallace out. So maybe we could see some experience from Alan Walters. That would be very interesting to get some of those freshmen in, because they have so many talented freshmen. It's obviously one of the better recruiting classes in Vanderbilt history, and certainly the best in Derek Mason's tenure. Not the best ever, because Franklin, I mean, he was in the top 20, top 15 consistently. So waiting for Mason to get to that point, and Vanderbilt will start bringing in some better crowds. Hopefully for week 3, it'll be a great crowd in South Bend. And then you got South Carolina week 4 in Nashville. That'll be a nice crowd. So kind of wish I was in town for that, but I will not be. But looking forward to the rest of the games here on the Commodores schedule. Once again, you've been listening to the Dore Report, presented by the great folks at Allocco Hardwood Flooring. Once again, if you're looking for someone trustworthy and reliable to apply new hardwood flooring, look no further than the folks at Allocco Hardwood Flooring. Jimmy Allocco and his staff are the best in town and will get your job done in a heartbeat. No matter what style you're going for, you can trust your flooring job to Allocco Hardwood Flooring. Take a walk through the woods in your home every day. Get your job started today. For more information, log on to AlloccoHardwoodFlooring.com or call 615-356-0303. That's 615-356-0303. Once again, tune in this Saturday. Vanderbilt hosting the Nevada Wolfpack. 12 noon Eastern time kickoff, 11 o'clock Central time there in Nashville. Vanderbilt fans, eat some breakfast, tailgate a little bit, and then walk over to Vanderbilt Stadium and enjoy a great matchup between Vanderbilt and Nevada on the SEC Network at 11 o'clock Central time in the morning. So grab some breakfast, roll out of bed, and enjoy a Vanderbilt Commodores win to get to 2-0, and then we'll celebrate a win over Notre Dame, hopefully. Again, you've been listening to the Dore Report, presented by Allocco Hardwood Flooring.